Hello, Night Nation. Trey Strelko here. This is the Sons of UCF Live. Good to see you guys again, Adam and Mike.
Greetings, Trace. Hello, hello.
You guys sure you want to do this episode? There are a lot of things to talk about.
We do have a lot to talk about. We'll be talking sports in just a few moments, but we begin in memory of Dr. John C. Hitt, UCF's president from 1992 to 2016. He passed away Monday at the age of 82. And I thought this week, who best to talk about that than our first guest, Brian W. Peterson, friend of the show, student body president, part of the board of trustees from 2009 to 2010. Brian, welcome back into the Sons of UCF Live.
Guys, how's it going?
Doing well, doing well. 82 years old, a lasting legacy at UCF. You spoke with him and got to work with him in your time at UCF as student body president, as I mentioned, board of trustees. UCF athletics wouldn't be where it is today on the cusp of moving into the Big 12 without Dr. Hitt.
Athletics nor the university would be where they are today without Dr. Hitt. If you think back to a time when Dr. Hitt first arrived back in 1992, I mean, the university was a shell of what it is right now. We're talking 15,000 students roughly. By the time he leaves in 2018, we're 60 plus thousand. We've got an on-campus stadium. We've got, different facilities around campus. We've got a medical school, all kinds of things that he was able to produce as our president for the better part of a quarter century.
Obviously, Brian, you get to spend a lot of time around Dr. Hitt. What was he like as a leader? What was he like as kind of just a person, an individual, when you all had a chance to interact with him?
He was a quiet leader, but you listened when he spoke. He was one of those, I think Teddy Roosevelt put it best when he said, carry a big stick, but, walk gently. And that was him. Everybody listened when he spoke, and you knew, you could listen to him for hours. He had that, that deep Southern accent, and you were just almost mesmerized by his voice and the command of a room that he had when he spoke. It was pretty incredible.
How often was he interacting with you guys, especially you as the student body president? Was it like a monthly thing? Did you run into him every week? How was it?
I got to see him whenever we had board of trustees meetings. So the student body president sits on the board of trustees. So anytime we had a board meeting, I sat actually right on his right. That was my job, was to sit right there at the table next to him. He made sure that the student body president was sitting right beside him for every one of those meetings. If there was something going on around the university, he would brief you on it, keep you up to date. We took a charter flight up to Tallahassee during the mid-year of my tenure as student body president. He called me up one morning and he said, Brian, or I guess the prior day, he called me up and he said, Brian, I need you with me tomorrow. We're going up to Tallahassee. I said, okay. During this particular time, they were talking about budget cuts to the state university system coming out of Tallahassee, the Florida legislature. And so he called me up, said, I want you to come with me. We're going to fly up. So come and be at my house tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. I said, yes, sir. So the next morning I arrived at his house, 6 a.m. He, brings me inside, says, give me a few minutes. He finishes getting ready. And we hopped in his car and we're off to take the flight with some other members of the board and some other state legislators and went up to Tallahassee. The funny story about it is that as we get in his car, I'm going to spend the next, 20, 30 minutes in the car with Dr. Hitt, just me and him in the car. And we're backing out of his garage and he leans over and he opens his glove box and he pulls out a radar detector and he pauses and he looks at me and he says, not that we speed or anything. He puts it on and off we went. It was quite an experience.
What kind of music were you guys listening to on the way there?
Oh, no music, chit chat.
Dr. Hitt, of course, loves sports, but especially football, played football, right? And
yeah, absolutely.
Was at every UCF football game, home and away.
So there is the president's box at the stadium where he hosts, various people every game, and he is at every game. He attends every game. He flies with the team to every away game, or at least he did. And of course, when we were home, he had his own box where he would host people. And my time to go into the president's box was interesting. It was a lot of fun to be up there. But I was warned the very first time that I went in is when the football game is being played, we do not talk to Dr. Hitt. Dr. Hitt is zoned in on the game. So you had to make it a point to not disrupt him from the game during that time. He was in the zone. He cared very much about football and what it could do for our university.
What's he like watching the game? Is he passionate? Is he screaming, yelling, complaining about the refs?
No, he's pretty quiet. Like I said, he's pretty reserved, and he didn't speak very much. But when he did, I never saw him get agitated at the refs. There were plenty of us around to do that for him, I suppose.
Kind of like watching the game with me, huh?
Exactly, just like watching a game with Mike. He just sits there the whole time, and I'm jumping up and down.
I never would have put Dr. Hitt and Mike in the same sentence. Brian, a lot of the stories this week on social media of people talking about how accessible he was, how he'd walk around campus and sort of meet students. Why do you think that was important to him to kind of be out and about, meeting students, interacting with people while he was on campus?
Well, he was, he came from the idea that a college education was something that everybody should get. And I think that was one of the driving goals during his tenure as president was, I want to make this school available to students to get their education, advance themselves, their careers, and their lives. And that is really what he did, not just for UCF, but for Central Florida in general. The community, the city of Orlando really benefited, not just because we had UCF in the area, but because we had UCF, which Dr. Hitt wanted to really push as a premier metropolitan research university in the country. And you can see that through the years, he really was able to accomplish that goal compared to where he was when the school was when he first got here and when he left it.
The presidents before him have had buildings named after him. We have Milliken Hall, we have Colburn Hall. What building on campus would you want to name after Dr. Hitt?
He has one named after him.
Was
the
he?
John C.
It's
Hitt
a building
Library.
it's a building that Mike wasn't in very often.
I
Yeah.
never went to the library.
John C. Hitt Library, which was the first building on campus, for those of you that don't know.
Good one.
Mike, the library. Let's wrap up with this, Brian. We know the impact UCF moving on to the Big 12 here in the middle of this year, the on-campus stadium, all the athletic facilities. But there's also Medical City, the downtown UCF campus, and the economic impact across Central Florida. That is John Hitt's legacy.
Absolutely. There would not be UCF and there would not be the Central Florida that we know today without Dr. Hitt.
And you had opportunity to spend time up close with him. And as I saw in the comment, you explaining radar detectors to some younger people.
Radar detector is not something you should have in your car these days.
Yeah, Brian, thank you for sharing some stories and your appreciation and our reflection on Dr. Hitt's legacy.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
All right. Thank you, Brian. I mean, Mike, the library. Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't named after him when I was there. So you gotta forgive me on that one.
Going to be interesting to see how UCF remembers him over the course of the year. Funeral arrangements and memorials and those sorts of things still coming together. Moment of silence before baseball on Tuesday and men's basketball on Wednesday. What do you think would be a fitting way, besides maybe a uniform patch or something like that?
Yeah, I still love the old Hit Squad stickers that were out there for a while too. I know that's kind of a fun play on words, and so I'd love to see that incorporated maybe into some of the sports programs. Obviously, he's already got a building, Mike, so the big one down. But I'd love to see the old Hit Squad stickers and memorabilia come back.
The John Hitt of the game. I mean, it's a baseball. It fits right in. We got the base hit of the game, or whatever you want to call it.
Hey, sounds like a new segment for the Sons of UCF. Big hit of the game.
I'll see if I can get Mike to the library first. We'll work on that.
Gotcha. Well, no easy way to transition out of that. And of course, we're going to talk in just a little while about men's basketball and the difficulties on the court here the last couple of weeks. But a bright spot this season is our next guest on the Sons of UCF Live, sophomore guard, Hoopa Warakolnikro. Did I say it right, Hoop?
Yes, you did. Yeah, you actually did.
I got to tell you, I listened to the sounder on UCF Athletics website half a dozen times this afternoon to make sure I got it. Welcome into Sons of UCF Live. You have been a bright spot this season, and when you're not in the game making a difference, your energy on the bench is just tremendous. What has it been like to be so well received by the fans this season?
Well, first of all, I just want to say, I'm very grateful. I couldn't be more happy that, I've been given this opportunity, from the coaching staff, and, like they just believed in me, and I just told them straight up, like last year, like when I really wanted to be a walk-on, I said that I felt like I had something to offer to the team. And you know, it's crazy because like I was a manager and I was on the sidelines, and I would get to see practices going on, but I was still a little bit scared to like talk and like say a few things that needed to be said. And I told coach that personally I think I can hoop, and I feel like I could say the things that I'm dying to say. So I'm just really grateful that I've been given this opportunity, and I'm taking it day by day.
Well, for those who don't know your story, Pooh, you started as a freshman. You were the student manager. Tell us more about what that role is. What are the duties and responsibilities of a student manager?
Yeah, of course. So as a student manager, it's honestly the hours are basically the same as the players. To be honest, we're actually like at least half an hour before practice and half an hour after practice to wrap things up and everything. Um, what we did was, well, what I did as a student manager was rebound for a lot of the players, and sometimes help with scouting. And if they needed us to, play defense on practice, very rarely they needed us to do that. But if they actually needed to, like, needed us to do some token defense or anything, we would do it. And basically, whatever the coaches asked for us to do, we do it. And it's no questions asked because we get the opportunity to like watch high level athletes compete every single day in practice.
You're shooting 75% from the field, 100% from 3-point land, almost a point a minute. You're basically the greatest player in UCF history. How does that feel?
I personally, I wouldn't say greatest player.
Not yet.
Now. Not yet. Not yet.
That's not what the numbers say.
I don't know. It feels crazy to me because a little less than 3 years ago, I was still back in Thailand, and I really thought I was really good at Thailand, right? In Thailand, right? But I came over here, went to Montverde Academy, and it was basically a culture shock for me. I was like, wow, I am not as good as I thought I was. But the thing is, like, I had heart, and no one can say otherwise because I know that I have heart, and I just practice every day, and I feel like these 3 years I made the biggest jumps in my skill. And yeah, now that I get to play in the games, like the very first game, oh my God, it was absolutely insane. The crowd went wild and I just couldn't believe it. And the first time I got my name called, Coach Johnson, he's one of the assistant coaches, I was really excited. I was like jumping around and everything. And he told me, "It's like, Pooh, act like you've been here before." After that, I was just like, okay, I just gotta lock in, play my game. I've come this far, might as well, score a few baskets along the way.
You mentioned you're born in Thailand. What brought you to the U.S. and did you hoop a lot back in Thailand?
Right. So in Thailand, I played a lot of different sports. It was the first sport I ever played was probably it was tennis. Yeah, it was between tennis and soccer, and I was really good at tennis. And I joined the soccer team, my school soccer team, and I was really good at that. And I was gonna join the national soccer team as well. But then came basketball, and I started to play basketball. And these three sports were, you know, I just played them every day. And I also did other things like golf and taekwondo. I was a black belt in taekwondo. And
You're like a multi-sport. I was gonna say
yeah,
dual sport, several sport here.
definitely, yeah, basically a multi-sport, but like not like how like lots of kids here are multi-sport. Lots of kids here would probably play football, basketball, and baseball, but I was more of like basketball, tennis, and soccer. And basically got to the point where the two sports that I was most serious about was tennis and soccer. No, sorry, tennis and basketball. Yeah, and I came over here. I dedicated myself to play basketball at Montverde, but I didn't really like leave tennis yet. And I wanted to move to the U.S. because I felt that like I needed to make a big step in my life, and America is the place to be, is the land of opportunities. What can I say? So yeah, that's why I decided to move over here.
Who is there a player in the NBA maybe that you studied and watched a lot? Maybe try to model your game after.
Definitely. There are a lot of point guards. Me and my dad, we would, I always trained with my dad. I never really had a trainer or anything. It was just my dad, and we would shoot basically like week by week. We would like kind of like pick, certain skills from different players. Personally, I really liked how I grew up like watching like the NBA finals, like 2014, around that era, and like the San Antonio Spurs were playing really well, and Tony Parker was point guard, and he was just killing it, and I just loved how he played. He had a very nice mid-range game. I love my mid-range shots, and so Tony Parker is one of them. Definitely Allen Iverson. He literally paved the way for smaller guards, so I definitely studied him a lot. Steph Curry, just because he's an unbelievable shooter. I wouldn't say he's a small guard. I mean, he's 6'3". I guess he's small for the NBA, but he plays like he's small. Other dudes like Chris Paul, he's an absolute genius on the floor, an absolute floor general. So I try to play like him, play with control and play with good pace. So yeah.
If I give you an opportunity to either hit a game winning three, so a three to win the game, or a game winning dunk, which one would you take?
It depends what kind of three it is. If it's like a really nice like step back or something, it might have to go. It might have to be a three. It might have to be a three for sure.
All right, you have an assist on your stat sheet already. What do you want to get next? A rebound, a block, or a steal?
Honestly, I thought I got a rebound, but I doubt it, because it doesn't show on the stat sheet. But I really thought I got a rebound that one time, but I guess not. So, I'm not sure. I would say probably a steal. I really want to I want someone to crossover right in front of me, and I just want to pickpocket that. And but actually, what I want most is definitely a charge. I always take charges. I love that. It's it's what Coach Dawkins says: energy generating behavior. I love taking a charge. It's so fun, just falling straight on your back. It hurts a little bit, but you get used to it.
What is it you most like about UCF?
What I most like about UCF, well, as a whole, it just feels very united. Like everyone's in it for each other, and I'm gonna say, as far as the team and and the coaching staff, like they really feel like family, and it's like a great fit. Everyone's always looking out for each other, and the teammates. I love my teammates. Like I couldn't say any bad things about them at all. They support me. I support them. You know, it's amazing. Like how all these young guys, we all want to individually succeed, but we just come together to just like work together and like succeed together, and it's fun too. So yeah.
How often do you get recognized on campus? If you and I walked, the entirety of the campus, how many times would someone stop and say hello to you or recognize who you are?
I've actually the past few days I actually got a few people come up to me, talk about the game, telling us to go beat USF. Obviously that didn't work out. It was very unfortunate, that game.
You just delivered the understatement of the hour.
Yeah. No, but honestly, it was a game that we really should have won, but it happens, and it sucks that it was USF that beat us. But I'm more than sure that our team would come back stronger, because we have a very talented group of guys. But anyways, back to the question. I probably once a week, if you average it out. I don't know if they're too scared to come up to me, or maybe I'm just not recognizable sometimes. But you know, it's pretty cool when some people like come up to talk to me. It feels pretty nice.
Give us the backstory on your name. Is that a common name in Thailand? Is that like Mike over there, or are you named after a relative or something?
The last name, I don't think it's common at all. I'm gonna be honest.
It's not Smith, Mike.
No, your first name.
No, but no, I don't think it's a common name. I do know a few people with my first name, Pupa. My mom told me that it means something like mountain or something. It has something to do with like a mountain, which I personally think is really cool. But my nickname has always been Pooh ever since I've been grown up. You know, people would call me like Winnie the Pooh or whatever, like to try to remember it a little bit better. But as of last name, I don't think I've ever met anyone with my last name because, well, the thing is, like with Thai names, like everyone's name is pretty long. So like it's very unique. Everyone's name is very unique, which is pretty awesome, but also sometimes hard to spell. It took me a while to spell my name. That's all I know.
Me too, actually.
What's it like to play with Taylor Hendricks?
Taylor's a great guy. I just got to say Taylor's a great guy, first of all. Skill-wise, he's an absolute machine. He's a 3-level scorer. He's unselfish with the ball. He plays with good, you know, composure. He's an NBA player. Like that's the only thing I can say. Like he's really an NBA player. He's super talented, super athletic, can shoot the lights out. He's everything you want in a big guy.
What are you majoring in at UCF, and what are your plans kind of in life after basketball?
So I'm actually majoring in mechanical engineering. It's actually really hard.
I believe it. Trust me. I believe it.
Yeah.
So you know where the library's at then. Mike may not, but you know where the library's at.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay.
I was listening to you guys earlier. Yeah, I heard that Mike didn't know where the library was. But I definitely do. I'm gonna be honest. I don't really go there that often. I do walk through it to get to class, but as far as studies, I think studies are fine. Like I just go to class, I just pay attention in class, and that should be it. Like I don't have to do that much extra work. If I do, then it's necessary. But I just go to class, just pay attention.
Way to do it.
Yeah.
What do you aspire to have your career after basketball?
Well, I'm hoping I could do something with engineering, because I chose this because I thought I was really good at it. I was really good at physics and math and just like solving problems. I'm really good at that. My dad, he actually owns a record label in Thailand. So he's really cool. Like our family are like we have a lot of musicians in our family. And I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of things that I could do, but as of now, I'm just gonna try my best in everything, and see what happens.
But do you also play an instrument as well? Do you have musical
Yes,
talent?
I do.
You play tennis,
actually.
soccer, basketball, taekwondo. I assume you
Knows
run
where the
like
library is.
like a 4-1-40. Like I assume you're a talented musician as well. Yes.
Well, personally, I think I'm not bad. I used to be in a band. We actually had like Battle of the Bands when I was in Thailand. I was around 13 or 14, and we actually won the Battle of the Bands.
Of course.
Actually, next to me, I have an acoustic guitar and an electric guitar right next to me. So, yeah, I play guitar. I used to play drums. Piano was my first instrument that I learned to play. And yeah.
How often do you dunk on people in practice? And who do you want to dunk on the most? And do you talk trash?
A lot of questions.
Great question. Dunk wise, let's just say coming soon. Coming soon.
You can't dunk. You have dunked?
I wouldn't call it. It's definitely a rim grazer. I don't know. I feel like I could if I really tried to, but as of now, I'm really focusing on the speed aspects and just playing like a point guard. Oh, but trust me, once the off season comes, I'm working to dunk because I want to dunk effortlessly. Layup lines, I want to be doing all sorts of dunks. But trash talking wise, I'm gonna be honest. Like I don't really talk trash. I do if they do talk trash to me, but I don't know. I've always been like kind of nice in the game, but I play with a lot of energy. That's just how I played. I played with a lot of energy, and if a little bit of trash, slips out of my mouth, then so be it. But I just play with a lot of energy. I enjoy playing. That's just what it is now. I get these like 2-minute playing times and not that much, but I'm so grateful for these 2 minutes, and I'm always gonna play my hardest. That's why I'm always running before I get my shots up. If it's there, if it's not there, I just pass it off, and I just enjoy playing.
And you are making the most of your minutes. You are a fan favorite. We have enjoyed seeing you this season, and we appreciate you spending a few moments with us on Sons of UCF Live.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me, guys.
All right, thank you, Pooh. Jam session next time. Bring that guitar.
Definitely, for sure.
All right, thank you, Pooh. All right, that's yeah, great guy. Great guy. He brings so much energy. He did not bring enough energy for the rest of the team. South Florida seemed to bring more energy last night in a 82-75 win over UCF. UCF now 6-9 in the AAC, 15-12 overall. They gave up 3 more points on the War on I-4. Women's basketball got swept by the Cows. So did the men, despite Ithiel Horton's 28 points last night. After the game, I asked head coach Johnny Dawkins, who's been saying for weeks now, in the midst of this 2-8 stretch, your best basketball's ahead of you. So when are we going to see some of that?
Well, let me ask you this question. You've been saying for a while now that your best basketball is ahead of you. Why do you think that? If this is the stretch you've been in the last 8-10 games?
One, I believe in my guys. I believe in my team. And I'm never going to be a guy that doesn't believe that we can't win and be successful. I'll never be in that position. And with this group, definitely not. So it starts there, Trace.
Well, let us ask BJ Taylor, a return guest on Sons of UCF Live, who I ran into underneath the arena there yesterday in the concourse. BJ, great career for you in broadcasting. Glad that you could spend a few moments back with the Sons of UCF Live.
Absolutely. Happy to be back with you guys. I see you got a sponsor in the corner now. You guys are just on the come up.
How's broadcasting been? You're on a lot of different channels, covering a lot of games. You got that travel going on. Career's off to a good start.
Yeah, no, it's going great. With CBS right now, it's been going well. I'm enjoying doing their games. Out to St. Louis tomorrow, then Chicago after that. So it's been awesome. It's been fantastic. It's keeping me around ball. So I'm just really blessed to be in these positions and have these opportunities.
All right, BJ. Knights 2-8 in their last 10. You heard from Coach Dawkins there. He keeps saying best basketball ahead. What is wrong? Why the close losses over and over?
Yeah, well, I don't think that some of them have been close. Others have had a lead, like last night. I mean, that was a 14-point game coming out of the half. Basically, I mean, it was an 8-point game at halftime, but then turned into a 14-point lead. There was about 2 minutes to start the second half. So more so than the close games being the issue, I think it's allowing these teams to build up this confidence, and then you build a hole, and then you can't really, come back, right? Obviously, I think, USF's record speaks for itself and, the kind of team that they've been throughout this season. But whenever you give a team confidence, they can come out and play well. And that's been the biggest issue, for this team. They've given everyone a lot of confidence playing against them. And it's really hard to win a lot of games, in the American when you do that.
BJ, when you look at the Knights, do you have more concerns about the offense or the defense?
I mean, this team is unique, right? I mean, you look at Taylor and how exceptional he is as a player, being so good on both ends of the floor. as a offensive threat, being able to shoot the three, but then get on the offensive glass, finish around the rim, and then he's exceptional at blocking shots around the paint. I think sometimes this team gets a little bit hung up on depending on the offense, right? Like last night, there were about 33s attempted, and it's a lack of balance sometimes. It's not, again, like you said, a lot of times people think it's always coming from the coaching staff. The players can get hung up on just spending time outside on the perimeter. So, I mean, to directly answer your question, Adam, I think offensively, you'd like to see this team get down the hill more, attack the rim, and get to the free throw line more often than they do, because a lot of times you just get very reliant on the three-point shot, and that's very difficult to win if you don't have, multiple 40% and up three-point shooters.
What do you think about the way we've built this roster? It seems like we've depended a lot on the transfer portal. Back then, I mean, when you were coming up, it was you, Chad, Taco. We built that team for a few years. It doesn't seem to be the case the last couple of seasons.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're probably not going to want to hear this, Mike, but that's just the state of college basketball in general. The majority of teams now are transfer portal put together teams, especially in basketball. I mean, it's prevalent all around the country. I do games all around the country, and majority of the time, any roster that I'm looking at is going to be 6 or 7 guys have transferred in from a school. And now some of these guys have been at 3 different schools. I mean, you look at last night for USF, Tyler Harris, right? The point guard for USF. Tyler Harris played against our team my last year when he was at Memphis. He's been to Memphis, he's been to Iowa State, he's been back to Memphis, and now he's at USF, right? So it's, and obviously USF isn't a great team, but if you look at, even Houston's roster, they have a lot of guys that come from other schools. So that's just the lay of college basketball right now. Mike, I think, the biggest thing, the solution for the coaches is the teams that have the most success are going to be the teams that can get 1-year rosters and get the most out of that 1-year roster and then reset the next season, because you're not most likely going to have, Mike, with the current NIL, state, with the current college basketball landscape, with the rules, you're just not going to have the 2, 3, 4-year guys that you developed from when they were freshmen to seniors. It just doesn't seem to be, a reality right now.
Our student reporter, Leo Rodriguez, texted me a question right before we went on that I ask of you. He's asking, Coach Dawkins talking about the psyche of the team. How much of a toll is basketball mentally? And especially when the team is in the stretch that it's in right now, 2-8 in the last 10. Yeah,
so I mean, when you talk about the psyche, again, a lot of that comes back to the leadership, in the locker room. Who are the guys that are stepping up and being vocal? I think when you are a team like ours, where a lot of these guys have come from other schools, they played a lot of basketball, they should be able to come together and have a certain level of maturity, if that makes sense, Trace. I mean, because when you look at, Ethiel Horton, CJ Kelly, Michael Durr, I mean, these aren't young guys. These are 23, 22, 23, 24-year-old players. And then you throw Taylor Hendricks into that mix, who is one of the most mature freshmen in all of college basketball in terms of, his demeanor, his disposition, the way he plays basketball. The overall psyche of it shouldn't be something that's a huge issue. They should be able to turn the page now and look forward. But quite frankly, this is the final, week and a half of the season, right? So for these guys, it's really a now or never sort of scenario.
BJ, you mentioned Taylor Hendricks. Obviously, his name is certainly out there on the NBA draft boards, right? There's some projections that have him kind of late lottery, mid-first round. Do you think we'll see Taylor Hendricks one and done at UCF?
Well, first of all, Taylor Hendricks is a tremendous young man. He has an outstanding first name. It's just, it's great. It's really special. A guy named Taylor playing good basketball. You love to see it. But in all seriousness, if that opportunity presents itself, if the projections are what they are, and that holds, and that's the feedback he gets from NBA scouts, he's definitely going to have to heavily put that into consideration, right? I mean, who wouldn't? I mean, to be as special as he is, as talented as he is, I think he's easily one of the one or two most versatile players that has ever existed in the American Conference in the 8 or 9 years now. What is it? Probably 9, 10 years we've been in the American Conference. I mean, he truly is special. You don't see a lot of guys that can shoot the three the way he does, and then attack the rim, but then block shots at the rim, catch lobs underneath. He just does a lot of different things, and then also be such a terrific young man like he is. So, I would say this. I think all of UCF and the Knights fans should cherish the time we have with Taylor and not take it for granted.
You were there at the end of the Donnie Jones era. Obviously, the writing was on the wall.
I'm going to come with the heavy hitters. I didn't mean to interrupt. I knew Mike had this ready to go. This has been building up for like 10 weeks of basketball season.
I missed you, bro.
Yeah.
What was it like in the locker room? Was there a sense that was coming towards the end of that season? Did you guys see the writing on the wall? How does that change things in the locker room, knowing that your head coach is probably gone? And if the transfer portal was around back then, how many guys would have taken off once they'd made that change?
Yeah, well, I think there's an implication with your question, Mike.
No, really?
Yeah, I think there's a huge implication with your question right there. So, I mean, I'm not even really comfortable addressing that, because that was a totally different situation with a different coach at a different time. And when that was coming about, it was just different. UCF was in an entirely different place. Expectations were totally different back then. So I would say, and Patrick's exactly right. Taylor's always good for UCF. I would say when you're talking about guys playing the game, the players, if that comes about, if that's something that you're thinking about as a player, where you're thinking about the wrong thing. And honestly, if I was playing when I was, on those teams, like, any situation in any college basketball team and anywhere in the country, no coach gets let go because of how he shot the basketball or how he dribbled the basketball, right? So if I'm a player, I'm in the locker room, like, it says a lot about me if my coach is in any of those type of deals. But I will say unequivocally that the job that Coach Dawkins has done for the UCF basketball program, for when he came in to where we are now, to where the expectations have gone to, I think it's significant. I think it's tremendous. Obviously, he has my utmost support as our basketball coach. So I understand your question, Mike. I don't see it as a similar scenario, quite frankly.
Let me end you with this one. Why do you think Johnny Dawkins is the right man to lead this UCF men's basketball program into the Big 12?
Yeah, so if you look at when Coach Dawkins came in and where the program was and where the team was, this was a team that we finished in the bottom of the American every year, essentially. We had 3 years in a row where we never competed for anything in a postseason title. We never came close to that. JP. Comments, y'all are really doing way better now. Y'all gonna have to start turning y'all comments off, because y'all get too many. Y'all used to get like one, y'all get like one person during the whole 15 minutes. Y'all getting like 6, 7, 8 comments now. But no, I mean, first of all, when you look at the players as people, and I know fans, it's hard to look at the players as people, and we care about winning basketball games because we want to go to postseason March Madness. But nobody develops the man and the players better than Coach Dawkins does. And I mean that. It's genuine, right? So with him, it's far bigger than basketball. All of his players go on to be successful after basketball. So that's one. Two, if you look at the times where there were teams that had multiple NBA postseason, post-college career level players, those teams did pretty well. Matt Williams' team did pretty well. He went on to play for the Miami Heat. Our team did pretty well, but we had 3 guys that went on to play on NBA contracts. So if you want to look at something, well, you can say, well, the team should recruit better. Okay, well, I think going to the Big 12 conference helps you recruit. I think mentioning guys that you're going to be playing Kansas State, Iowa State, West Virginia, Texas and Oklahoma for a year. that sort of thing helps you recruit better talent. So for me, that would be my sort of push for why. And it's odd for me having to defend that, but that's where I stand on it.
Where can fans find you? What's your next broadcast? You said you're on the road.
Yeah, so I'll be out at St. Louis Saturday afternoon. Got Loyola Chicago and St. Louis. St. Louis is in the running for the A10 championship. And then I'll be back. Well, I'll still be I'll be in Chicago Wednesday, and then I'll have UCF versus ECU on ESPN Plus for senior night. So that is where I will be.
And maybe we can get you back on the Sons of UCF.
Yeah, Adam, Mike, anything else before we go? Because I feel like me and Mike are leaving on an odd note here.
Have you developed a signature call, like that Mark Jackson, hand down, man down? You got something you're cooking up? You got something?
No, man. So I have these Taylorisms. That's what they're calling them. And it's always something where it rhymes, and I unintentionally rhyme it. It just kind of flows out. So, if you listen to a call, Mike, maybe you would know. Maybe you could know what I was doing. Okay? Instead of scouring, the globe for whatever you scour the web for.
You don't want to go down there, BJ. I noticed you got the cool, iconic CBS blazer, right? With a little CBS. Do you only get one of those? Do you have to give it back at the end of the night? How's that blazer situation work?
No, so it's mine. It's Calvin Klein, 44 long. So if anybody wants to send me a blazer for holiday or something, 44 long. But no, you get the blazer. The odd thing about it is you don't get matching pants, right? Blazer is a very traditional Navy blazer, so you can't really just go to your Macy's or a store and find those colored pants. You actually have to buy them from a certain website offline, which I've done. So very cool though, right? Very nice signature. Ideally next year I'll be on more Big 12 games for ESPN on the major ESPN networks. So that's the hope, that's the goal. And hopefully I'll be there, behind the desk with Coach Johnny Dawkins coaching the team, Mike.
I only asked about Donnie Jones. That was my question, Donnie Jones.
Implications out the wazoo with this guy, man. You should have been a lawyer. That's what Gordon and Partners. Exactly.
There you
go.
Your star is bright, BJ. It was good talking with you last night at the game, and thank you for spending time with us tonight on Sunset.
No, certainly. I hope you guys have a great rest of your show.
All right.
Thanks, BJ.
Safe travels. All right, men's basketball at Tulsa Sunday at 5, then at Temple next Thursday at 7. Mike, little programming note, we're going to try coming on after the game. So instead of a 7 before the game or an 8 during, at 9 o'clock, we'll talk about that big win at Temple.
Ooh, that's good time.
Thanks to Leo for his stories on the Suns YouTube channel. We're getting closer to that 1,000 subscribers mark, and thanks to my friend John Weiss for his preview articles. A little bit of football before we transition to baseball and get to some hot takes. Walk-on tryouts, Mike, March 20th. Any eligibility? You got any?
No, I used it all up.
What would you walk on to try? What position?
Oh man, I don't really have the size. I don't really have the speed or the skill to play basically any position. I never played football. I never played organized football. So kicker,
punter?
No. I couldn't play football. I'm not even going to pretend like I did. Baseball, if they get a walk on there, I could play a little bit, but no football for me.
If you need me, I can draw up a play, Trace. If you need me to design a play, I've got some in the playbook. And my only problem with this whole walk-on thing is, I assume Pooh's going to walk on. He plays every other sport. I mean, I assume he's going to be starting quarterback next year, or wide receiver or something, right?
Well, I didn't want to bring that up. The coach Malzahn may be eyeing him for something. Football out today. Fewer than 1,500 season tickets remain, and we're just in February, so there's going to be a big push. They're making a push for season tickets and ticket deposits for Big 12 basketball in the arena. They advertise that during the games now. You had a great guest on. You're on a roll again with the guest, Darryl Mack Jr. on this week's Suns Pod.
Yeah, always good to catch up with the former players. And DJ is somebody that we wanted to talk to for a long time. We kind of joked on the show. He was a part of so many big things, even though he really only played like 6 games total for us. But such a good kid. And I pulled a clip from the show, and this to me just resonates with what you expect out of DJ. You always saw the kid smiling. You always saw him out there having a good time. And this little insight into how he reacted to having a 3-turnover half in that AAC championship game, I thought was pretty telling.
It's crazy because Marlon's kind of my guy. So he was like, he came up to me and he like nudged me on the side. He's like, look, man, you can't do any worse. So, so after that, I was kind of good to go after that. After we talked in the locker room, everybody came in the locker room and he kind of nudged me on the side and said that to me. I'm like, all right, well, come on. We only got up from here. So.
Adam, great what if here. What if he doesn't get hurt?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I think we asked him that question, right? I asked him to kind of project, and he took the high road as a good human being often does. But I think that he thinks he was in position to win that job and to take that job. Now, obviously, we know what Dylan Gabriel became for UCF, so how long he holds on to that. But I think it's a real possibility he's QB1 opening night. Now, does he hold that job? I don't know, but I think he also believes that would have been a much different race had he been fully healthy.
And Mike, what about this one? Who's held in higher regard, do you think, as time goes by? Mikey Keene or Daryl Mack?
I mean, Daryl Mack won a conference championship game. Keene's never had that. Keene had the game against the Gators, but Keene left, and Keene didn't play in the championship game when he had the opportunity to. It's got to be DJ Mack.
So it's funny that it was so few games and the lasting impact. And a nice guy, and as he mentioned there, lives in the Orlando area. Maybe we'll have him back to do some analysis during the season. He's easy on the camera, right? So he talks comfortably about football, and a good success story in his time as a Knight.
Yeah, a lot of fun to catch up with him again. He, was a part of a lot of big things, and he's back in Orlando. He's going to hopefully stay around the program a little bit. He's been to some basketball games. Sounds like he's going to try to get out to football games as well too. So, the other thing I loved about it is we asked him, even though he wasn't at UCF, if he wasn't on campus at Old Dominion where he was attending, he was always wearing his UCF gear. So
yeah,
you can tell that the love he has for UCF, how much he enjoyed being around UCF. So glad to have him back in Orlando, and hopefully we'll see him out at some games here soon, either basketball, maybe softball, baseball, and hopefully around football in the fall.
Gotcha. Another great interview, guys, and you can see the excerpts there with Daryl Mack on the Suns YouTube channel, of course, the pod, wherever you get your downloadable content. A little around the kingdom. Right before we went on, softball swept Gardner-Webb out at the UCF softball complex to move to 7-7. Some of those losses were in that very tough Clearwater tournament. Knights still ranked in the top 25 in all of the polls. They're home for the weekend. They've got Louisville on Friday. They've got Purdue on Saturday. Both of those 7 o'clock, and Sunday another one with Louisville. So softball gets off the schneid here with a doubleheader sweep, both run rules over Gardner-Webb. Women's basketball
the other day, Trace. We forget that one.
Yeah, we're skipping that one. We're just, yeah.
Didn't happen. Okay.
I don't know. It's been a week I'm out there on Tuesday at baseball. Baseball loses, softball loses, women's basketball wins. Of those three, that's not the one I would have thought because of the struggles they've had, but they did pick up their third win in the AC, 12-13 overall. They beat Temple 57-53. Saturday against Cincinnati senior afternoon at 2 o'clock, and then they're on the road at Tulsa. So baseball, I mentioned that earlier. They swept Siena. I don't know what you can judge from that, right? Likely the end of the Siena series, as there will be 10 Big 12 conference series, so it limits the number of weekend non-conference series. And Coach Lovelady's talking about keeping the series with South Florida as part of now what will be the non-conference slate. So probably the end of Siena, and they racked up a bunch of runs. But again, what's the big test there? Then they come back Tuesday, midweek game against FAU. FAU's talented. They lose 13-3 to FAU. It'll be 3-1 now. And this is one where they had more errors than runs. And Coach Lovelady after the game, not very happy.
You get out hit by 3 and outscored by 10. That usually means you don't play defense or you don't throw strikes. And we did neither of them. No defense early, no strikes late, and when we did throw strikes, they just hammered them.
What do you think of that quote, Mike? got out hit, couldn't throw strikes, so we threw them. They hammered them. It doesn't add up to a win.
No, 5 errors. You're not going to win a lot of ball games doing that. They need to clean that up. You can't give Clemson any extra outs this weekend, or it's going to get ugly. You need to avoid that big inning like we gave FAU a couple of them the other night, or else it's going to be a long weekend.
Yeah, they go to Clemson. They got that one at 4:00 on Friday, 2:00 on Saturday, 1:00 on Sunday. Then they're at Bethune-Cookman. When you drop the FAU game, and really, again, fans not putting a lot of stock in the Siena series, you got to win 2 out of 3, right? You got to win series.
Yeah, it's always the trick with baseball, right? Is trying to win the series. Obviously, pitching performance over the weekend at Siena, 2-point trust. I don't know what to make of that. Rudy Gomez gave up like 4 runs, but still got the win. Cam Leiter goes 4 1/3, doesn't give up a run, but gets a no decision. So, got to see how the pitching staff comes together. Obviously, back to the regular rotation this weekend against Clemson. So hopefully the arms can stay alive a little bit. And Ben McCabe's on pace to hit 600 and 432 home runs at this point. So if he can just stay hot and keep doing that, Trace, maybe we'll win something. Who knows?
Ben McKay follows the Sons of UCF. After a post game, he said to me, "Are you guys getting closer to the 1,000 subscribers?" So he was dialed into that question.
Does he subscribes?
I did not ask him that because then we started asking him questions. But he's a good
sounds
guy.
like a. And did 2 of his friends subscribe? He could win a Sons of UCF hat. Trace. We have a little contest out there. If you get 2 friends to subscribe, you're entered into a drawing to win a Sons of UCF hat. Something that looks like this right over here. So Ben McCabe, maybe he's eligible. I don't know.
I will. I'll mention that to Ben
when
I see him. Yeah.
If only Bronco was on, we could ask him about a Big Ben home run call. I remember a couple of seasons ago, I tried to get some home run calls going for these guys. Big Ben seems like it could be an easy one.
Well,
yes,
we will see if Stephen is able to hop on with us. But I retired, at least temporarily, the mailbag. I just grew tired of it. So we introduced hot takes this week. Dozens of hot takes came in. Some a little cooler than others. I tried to pick 5 of my 5 favorite. Adam, how are we doing this? You got a little sounder? What do you got here?
All right, so we're gonna set the mood here. Got some music, got some fire in the background there, and then so Trace has picked 5, but he really picked 6 because he wants to make my life hell to make a graphic here. So here are the top 4 hot takes.
This is like Mike when he goes his top 5 list and then he gives you 8.
That's also fair. Here are the hot takes that did not quite make Trace's list here, Trace. I don't know if you want to go through any of these.
Yeah, number 5 at Mr. Matt Dolan. The segment should be called the Brian W. Peterson hot take. Is that under consideration? Should we consider that?
If I had a graphic, if someone wants to shoot a video, first one to get a video to us, you may have the naming rights to the Sons of UCF hot take. So, get in there. I don't know.
One from Brian, number 4 at Brian W. Peterson. Gold jerseys need a return ASAP. That is a controversial take. Where are you guys on gold? It's hard to do gold. In the uniforms, it always looks less than gold.
I don't want the George O'Leary looks like urine gold, so we've got to find the right mixture of gold, personally.
I mean, it's hard to do gold. The New Orleans Saints have been doing gold for 50 years.
At Rejoice Nights. Number 2, Tommy or Timmy will be our starting quarterback next season.
I mean, if you play the odds, right? I mean, there's a 66% chance that's correct, so I'm not sure that's a hot take. It's more of a mathematical equation.
Yeah, JRP is due to get hurt at some point during the season, so one of them will probably start at least one game.
It's hard to imagine this really at this point with the way they have approached JRP. Number 2, at Dolly_drama. UCF athletics as a whole has been pretty mediocre since the culmination of the 2019 calendar year.
I think this is actually pretty spot on. I mean, softball obviously has had a good run, but outside of that, we haven't really made a lot of noise. Women's basketball had the year under Coach Jay, but it's been a bit slim pickings on the sports calendar. I think there's some heft on this one.
Volleyball's had success. Women's soccer had success.
We're in the playoffs,
in the
so,
NCAA tournament.
Please.
We were on top of the world, though. I mean, we had 2 undefeated seasons in football. Basketball was in the big dance. They won a game. It didn't get any better than that, and he's not wrong. Since then, what's the biggest win we've had in any sport?
Is this fire getting anybody else annoyed too? By the way, should I turn that down?
I didn't even notice.
Perfect.
And then I've got dueling ones for the top one. At Free Sport Travel, our AD is the perfect person to be in charge of the athletic program in its first year in the Big 12. And then really the hot take segment has no better person behind it than JP Gilbert, who says Scott Carr or someone from the Danny White tree should have been the AD hire. Where are you guys at on Terry Mohajir? You know, they made the big announcement of a $5 million donation, anonymous, from a former student athlete, $4 million earmarked for baseball, $1 million for football. So he's bringing in the bucks.
I'm a little too soon to tell on Terry Mohajir. I think obviously he himself admits that he started on third, right, getting UCF into the Big 12. That was a lot of the work Danny White had been doing prior to that. We've seen some additional fundraising. We've seen some deals from a corporate standpoint on stadiums and arenas. But I said on a recent podcast, these next 18 to 24 months are going to be essentially make or break for UCF. If we get into the Big 12 the right way, right infrastructure, and start off on the right foot, you have the opportunity to set yourself up for success in the future. But if we blow that, I think that's the part that's really scary. The merchandise thing, I'd like him to get better at. Hot dogs in the cabana. Why can't we figure that out? Let's get some shade. So I don't know that I use the word perfect to describe Terry Mohajir. I think he's been a good addition, but I can't quite get up to the level where it's a hot take of perfect.
Are you in between these then? These two takes?
So the thing with Scott Carr is this. I like Scott Carr a lot, but even Danny White himself started at Buffalo as an AD before he came to UCF, right? This would have been the biggest job of Scott Carr's life, getting the UCF AD job. So I do think he may have been a little bit premature in getting into that role. I think he's at FIU now, has a chance to kind of grow and succeed. Outside of Scott Carr, I don't know who was on that staff that you would have said could have been an AD. Eric Wood obviously is at Louisiana Tech. I think he's the other name you could have thought of. So I'm a little in between on this one. I do like Scott Carr, but I think it may have been a little bit too early for him. He may have been a little overjobbed grabbing UCF as his first full AD job.
We're going to find out a lot about Timo in these next few weeks. And he's got to address this basketball program. I know, Trace, you jam-packed this show with guests because you didn't want to talk about it, but we're talking about it now, baby.
Look at the clump. Look at the time.
I mean, come on. Something has to happen here. The basketball program has done nothing in the last 4 years. We were set up. We won a tournament game. We had all the momentum from that win and that game against Duke, and we've done nothing with it. We're 30-39 in conference play since that day. We were 9-point favorites at home against the Cows last night. Got swept. Unacceptable. Things have to happen. And Timo has to do something about it. End of story.
He may be dealing with the rowing coach before he deals with the men's basketball coach. So that may be the first item on his plate. And what's your grade then if he doesn't do anything and he sticks with Johnny Dawkins, who's got a couple of years left on his contract?
I mean, then it's on him. That's a reflection on his job. And if we sit through this again, you know what I did today? I looked at Twitter and I found the exact same arguments with the same people last year at exactly this time, February 18th. The same thing. And we're doing it again this year on February 23rd. And you know what's going to happen next year? The same thing if we don't start making some changes around here. I've had enough. Something's got to change. Right? You know, Albert Einstein said it. The definition of insanity. Doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. Nothing's changing here with Johnny. We got to get better. We're going into the Big 12.
Do you think Terry Mohajir makes a change?
He needs to.
I know you want him to, and I know you think he should, but do you think he does?
Yeah, I think he does. I think he needs to start feeling the heat from us. Talk about the hot seat. I mean,
hot take, not hot seat.
You want a hot take? Johnny Dawkins should stay going into the Big 12. That's a hot take.
I don't think he'll make a move, Trace. I mean, I get conflicted on this, right? Because last night I'm yelling at my TV. I'm saying we got to make a change. Like we can't keep having this happen to us. And then you hear from somebody like BJ Taylor, who knows more basketball than any of us combined, who's been in locker rooms, and you hear him say things like Johnny's the right guy. And I stop and I go, okay, I trust BJ Taylor. I know he's a good guy. I know he knows basketball. So I'm a little bit in between here, but I don't think Terry Mohajir is going to make a change right now. But I think that in and of itself is going to be a challenge, because is Johnny going to be a lame duck coach going into the Big 12 without a contract extension? He's got 2 years left on his deal, right? So at what point are we going to make a decision on kind of where we are? We either have to extend him to give him that security to recruit, or we have to let him be a lame duck on a 1-year deal, which doesn't usually work out very well for coaches. So I think we're at a precipice where we have to make a decision soon. I don't think Terry's going to have any decision. I think Johnny's our coach going into next year.
And then how disruptive is it to make a change before then? I just think that he stays with the coaches he has. The rowing situation and possible, administrative leave and investigation into Becky Kramer notwithstanding for some allegations and things. I think he stays with all the coaches that he has.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible, right? We haven't seen him yet make a move on a coach. Obviously, Coach Abe left on her own, and he had to bring in Satia Messer. But something has to be done, Trace. I mean, maybe it's not Johnny Dawkins losing his job right now, but we're at a path that is not of any favor, and I don't know how anyone sees a way out of this. That $4 million baseball gift, that's a unicorn. That's not happening anytime soon. And if it does happen, it's going to take years for that to become something that's felt in the program. So something has to change. And again, I don't think this is just, on Johnny Dawkins. I think there's many people in the UCF athletics department that have quote unquote blood on their hands on this one and have to figure out how to make basketball a bigger priority. But so far, no one seemed to be willing to make that. Donors included, administration included, and maybe Johnny Dawkins included as well. I think there's multiple blame to go around here. But the reality is, just like Mike, I'm sick of watching us choke games away against the Cows and Cincinnati and Memphis. We should be playing better than that. And to see that continue to go over and over again, I don't know.
I think the question to ask Terry Mahajer, if and or when we have opportunity to speak to him again, is what is his commitment to the men's basketball program? Coaching changes aside, what's the commitment on the part of athletics to men's basketball? And until that one's addressed in a more forward way, I don't know that changing the coach changes much.
Changing the coach changes everything, Trace. It changes the whole culture of the program. Look what Scott Frost did when he came in here. You telling me he didn't change much?
You're referencing football.
Oh, come on.
Football's the only thing that matters.
A new coach. It doesn't have to be it could be any sport.
Football's the only thing that matters.
Oh my God.
But to be fair to that, Trey, what's the dollar figure by which if we get all of a sudden infrastructurally that then we can change coaches, right? Because that's a slippery slope. That's a moving target as well. So if it's $100,000, then we can change coaches. If it's $200,000, if we commit to chartered planes, like we're setting arbitrary goalposts to say, okay, we can't make a change until that happens. But to Mike's point, UCF was built on the fact that we've always had to do less with more with less, right? We've never had the resources of other schools. We've had to do more with less. And more times than not, we found ways to kind of over-index with where we were from a budget standpoint. And so we've seen it happen. And I think that's the argument here is to say we can't do anything because we're not ready. That one doesn't sit well with me. That just means we keep moving a goalpost and saying we can't do something until we get to a point. And at that point, is it too late? So that's the one argument I don't necessarily enjoy is saying, well, we can't make a change until we commit to something. Well, then if we commit, then we can make a change. Like that's the time to do it. I mean, I think we've got to be one or the other.
How committed is South Florida to basketball? How much money are they getting every year? Can't be that much more than us. They whipped our ass twice this year.
All right, guys, this one we will not resolve in this hour or any other hour in the near future, but I want to thank Pooh for stopping by. Brian W. Peterson, of course, off the top of the show. BJ Taylor for joining us, and of course, all of you. Remember, next week we will be on at 9 o'clock. That should be good if they lose at Temple. We'll begin the rant session right off the top of the show and have an extended conversation about men's basketball then. Just a couple of games left on the regular season schedule before the conference tournament begins. All right, guys, I've enjoyed the hour. Looking forward to your next show. For Adam and Mike, I'm Trace Trolko. Thanks for watching the Sons of UCF Live. Go Knights!
What's up, everybody? It's Terrence Plummer II with the Orlando Guardians. Thanks for watching the Sons of UCF.